Here was Jef Sturm, a noted local painter, in his home in Litchfield. And we want to find out what makes a good landscape artist.
Okay, well, it takes a lot of time, a lot of study, and you have to be aware of color in all of its aspects. And that's not just the color of something, as I'll say green, trees or whatnot, but you also have to be aware of the value, light and dark, the temperature of the color, cool and warm, and the intensity of the color, bright and not so bright, and maybe even gray as it goes back in space. So that is probably, those are the four things to be paying attention to. The discipline is that you paint, and paint as often as you can, and a lot of it has to do with painting outside, not just inside. If it's a rainy day, yeah, but in fact, I know some that have painted out in the rain. But it's important to practice it, and you cannot get there overnight. And those of you who are watching this film that know me have heard me say this, and that is that Monet, when he found out that he was going to be not with us much longer when he was in his 80s, said that that was too bad because he was just starting to get to understand it. So it is a process. There's no end to it. You don't just suddenly become a great painter overnight or even after 80 years of painting. It's a process, and you do it because you love to do it. And yeah, there are moments when you see yourself grow, and you'll have better painting, as you go along. So that, I think, what makes a good landscape painter is being open to failure and being appreciative when you nail one. And that's mostly about, what I would say is that is about all you need to know. So this particular piece that is here in front of me is an example. I worked pretty hard over over the time, and this one turned out pretty good for me, and I was very happy with it. And I have miles and miles and miles to go, but every now and then, with hard work, I'll come up with something, and I paint every day, and so that's that's a big part of it. What I like to say is this, and I agree with it, and I believe in it, and that is that if you make light the subject of your paintings, you'll have success. Because to me, that's the most important part, the most important thing about a painting, especially a landscape.
Okay, what's this about?
Okay, this is a painting that I would say was more location specific. What I mean by that is most of the people in this area who have been to Brookgreen Gardens, if I showed them this and said, where do you suppose this could be? It would probably be, most would say, Brookgreen Gardens. And the reason for that is certainly the oaks, and the oak that's in this painting, but the azaleas. Azaleas in Brookgreen are synonymous. And if you go over there in the spring, most people are, just in awe of the beauty of it. So if you go to Brookgreen Gardens and you stand in one spot and you survey it, you look around 180 degrees or 360 degrees, it's hard to not be just overwhelmed almost by its beauty. But when you have to frame it, if you have to stop as your eye peruse all this, you have to then say, what can I put inside this frame instead of, because I've got all this stuff I could choose from. So you have to become a designer, and you have to decide where the verticals are and where the horizontals are and what you're going to do with the painting. And so I find that to be probably one of the most challenging things in painting and in landscape painting is to be able to capture the feeling of your subject without taking a movie, a 360-degree movie of it. Here's a picture that I took at Brookgreen, and if you come into the parking lot, those of you who have gone there, and you look to your right, there's a little pond or lake there. And I set that up one day, or set up this photograph, and I also painted at the same time. I had the photograph and the painting, and I took it home. And then I actually took the painting that I had done outside, and I scraped it, and I left some of the visual of it, some of the image on the canvas, and then I went back over it again, and using the photograph that I took and capturing the light. And as some of you may know, if you go outside to paint, the light can be fleeting, and you cannot always capture it at the same time what you want to show. So I ended up using the photograph to my advantage of what I had experienced that day, and then having scraped it, then I went back over the painting and did it again, and then this was the result of it.
Well, Jeff, this has been most interesting, and love your work.
Thank you.
Where can people buy it?
I have 4 galleries that I'm in right now, Brookgreen Gift Shop being one of them, of course, and I'm also at Seacoast Artists Guild, which is in Market Commons, and I teach there. And I also am in the Gray Man Gallery, which is in Pawleys Island, and then the one that I just got into and down in Georgetown Art Gallery. And I also have a website. You can see a lot of my work on that as well.
Very good. Well, thanks so much.
Oh, you're more than welcome. Thank you.